All right, time to begin. On the warm-up problem, you're going to have to start inside the brackets, and then in the parentheses, that's 2. Squared is 4, times 2 is 8, plus 3 is 11, plus 6 is 17. 17 times 6 is 102. So 4 plus 102 minus this 6 from the back end should give you 100. You have to do the top part first, and that is 2 plus 1, which is 3. So 3 squared is 9, times 3 is 27, plus 9 is 36. On the bottom, this is 8 plus 28, which is also 36. So the answer is 1. On warm-up number 3, you start inside the parentheses and you'll have 18 minus 16, which is 2. If you square that, you get 4 and multiply it by 6 to get 24. This is 25, and on the back end you have 4. Add them all up and you get 53. The winning number today is 2. Before you come up here, remember that the directions in the middle of your homework paper said, and I quote, "Show all work and answers on notebook paper." Before you come up here, if you do not have all of your work and your answers on notebook paper, then do not come up. You can redo it and put it in the basket back there, and I'll add it to the grade book on Friday if you have it all done. Now you can come up if you haven't. We have 11 here and 19 present, which is a percentage of what? 57%. Here are the homework answers, and we'll go through any questions after we finish. Alright, the whole thing I have on one sheet of notebook paper here, and this is what yours should have looked like. Everything has to be on notebook paper. Your equation is up here at the top, and it should be x plus 6 plus x plus 4 plus x plus 11. And this part here, I'm sure, may have caused you some trouble. Remember, in the problem, it says this person here has 10 less than double what this person has. So if you want to do 10 less than double of this, to double this, which comes from person 4, you have to multiply it by 2. That is 2x plus 22. And then if you take 10 away, you end up with 12. So 2x plus 12 should have been the expression there. Set it all equal to 153. When you do that, solve the equation, and you get 20. With that 20, you go back and find out what Joe, Greg, John, George, and Pete had, which is 26, 20, 24, 31, and 52. The only thing that we're going to give extra points for today are the bottom two, which would be this, where you had to calculate the bonus money earned. So if you had $1.50 for George and $33 for Pete, then here's how you score it. This one is worth 5 points, and this one is worth 5 points. If you have one of them, you get 5. If you have both of them, you get 10. If you have neither of them, you get 0. But you still have your 50 points for doing the homework, which is 100%. Test review. On the first problem, your expression should have been x plus 26, x plus 10, x plus 38. Set it equal to 354. And when you solve that equation, you come up with 70. And you use that to plug it back into each item's expression. So you should have had 96, 70, 80, And this is not 118. It should be 108, even though I fixed it on my key. Problem B. You should have had x plus 6, x minus 4, x plus 11 for your expressions. And in this area right here, I'll show you how I graded the expressions. For example, if you had x plus 6 minus 9, then I only gave you 25 points out of 50 for that problem, because you have to simplify this down to x minus 3. 6 minus 9 is negative 3, so it's x minus 3. Set your equation equal to 213 and solve to get 50. When you plug 50 back in, you'll get 56, 50, 46, and 61. Problem C. You should have had x plus 6, x minus 1, and x plus 9. Set all of that equal to 134 and solve your equation down for 30. And then when you plug it back in for your people here, you should have 36, 30, 29, and 39. And on the extra credit, it refers back to problem A, and the problem said if any cars go over 100 miles, they get 35 cents for every mile over 100. So again here, this is 108, and that's 108, so that should be simply 8 here, and when you multiply the 8 by 35 cents, that comes out to be $2.80. There we go. These are A and A plus test papers. Ruark, Johnson, McDame, Bartley, Bruton, Hellier, Kleiber, Carver, Hammond, Bailey, Armstrong, Baldridge, Spradlin, Garrett. And this last one here is a new student whose first day was yesterday, and he scored a 975 out of 1,000, having not sat through any of this. And that's really good. So that's why I put great first day on his paper. That's fantastic. I gave him the test, and anytime I have a new student that shows up on the first day and we're taking a test, I still give it to them. Even if you're gone for a long time, you'll still take the test. It won't count against you, and then you can take a different version later. The reason I do that is for this right here, because if they already know it, they can score the points and get it. And if they don't, it doesn't hurt them, and they can take a different version when they're ready later on. But I wasn't expecting. I've never had a new student show up, and especially for stuff like this, come in with an A right off the bat. So that's really good. Today's Common Core objective. You are still going to create equations that describe numbers or relationships, and then solve them to come up with the answers for a problem. Here's example 1. I told you it'd be a little bit more than last week. We'll go through it one sentence at a time and pick this apart so we know what we have to do. A coach must pick two-player practice teams based on how many points are scored in one game. So if the coach is going to pick two-player teams based on how many points are scored in one game, how many players is he going to be picking from? 4, yeah, because you have 2 little practice teams, so it'll be a 2-on-2 game. You have to have 4 players. And it's based on how many points the top 4 in a game. Of the 4 players that will be chosen, Joe had 9 more points than Jeff, Greg has 6 less than Joe, and John had 1 less than Greg. What name in here is only mentioned one time? Jeff. So Jeff is going to have to be the reference, which is the unknown variable. Alright, so we'll lower that down to there, and I can always zoom back in when we have to read again. So here are the names of the people that we're dealing with in this problem. They are Joe and then Jeff are the first two that are mentioned. Joe had 9 more points than Jeff. What do I make Jeff? X, right. And what do I make Joe if he had 9 more? X plus 9 is right. So we'll go back here to the problem. We just finished this part. Greg has 6 less than Joe. So we go back here. Greg has 6 less than Joe. So here's Joe, X plus 9, and if I do 6 less, what does that simplify down to? X plus 3, right, 9 minus 6. Alright, back in the problem. It's gone away on me there. I have to hit this. There we go. Now I can zoom back in. And then John had 1 less than Greg. John has 1 less than Greg. Greg is X plus 3. And John has 1 less. So how much does John have? X plus 2. Right, so we have to put that in the problem. We'll write down his name, John. And that's X plus 2. Does anybody have any questions about where we're at so far? Okay, so we have to add all these together, and in the problem it says that the total points scored by the 4 players is how much? 62. So we'll go back in there and put that to the right side of the equation. How many x's are in this problem? We have 4. What is 9 plus 3? 12 plus 2? 14. So 4x plus 14 equals 62. What do I do next? Yeah, subtract the 14. So 62 minus 14. What is that? 48. What do I do next? Divide by 4 to get 12. So x is 12. Now what we have to do is list out the names again. That's going to be Joe and Jeff, Greg, and then John. So if x is 12, how many points did Joe have? 21, right, 12 plus 9. If x is 12, how many points did Jeff have? 12. If x is 12, how many points did Greg have? 15. And if x is 12, how many points did John have? 14, right. Now remember from the problem it says the coach must pick 2 two-player practice teams. Let's see what he's using to pick these teams. The 2 teams will be picked by placing the highest scorer with the 3rd highest scorer. So 1 and 3 are together, and then the next team will be the 2nd scorer, and then the one with the lowest points, the 4th one. This question says, what are the 2 teams, and how many points do each player have? Or how many points does, it should be. So we've already answered how many points they have. Now we have to pick the teams. So we'll go in here. We listed them out on this side. The first team has players 1 and 3. Who is on team 1?
Joe.
Somebody said Joe and Greg, then another one said Joe and John. What should I do before I even try to pick the teams? Put them in order. So who had the most points? Joe had the most points. He's 1. Who's 2nd highest? Greg. Who's 3rd? And that would make Jeff 4th. So if 1 and 3 are on a team, team 1 is going to consist of who? This one and this one, right. Joe and John will be on team 1. And then you'll have team 2 for those that are left over, which would be this one and this one, 2 and 4. So that would be Jeff and Greg. Now the problem isn't over yet. I have to hit this thing again. There we go. In the problem, whoa, there we go. Alright, that's not what I need. That's what I need. There we go. In the problem, it also says the coach will give 3 candy bars for each point over 14 that is scored in the game. Who earned the candy bars and how many did they earn? Remember, it says 3 candy bars for each point over 14. So let's go back and look at the player totals. And for some reason I'm shifting from blue to white there, but we'll just have to deal with it. Who scored over 14? Greg and Joe. Now, for each point over 14, they get 3 candy bars. How many points over 14 did Joe score? He had 21 points and take away the 14 minimum, so he has 7. And then, if he has 7 points, how many candy bars did he earn? 21, because you multiply the 7 by the 3 candy bars to get 21 candy bars. Alright, so John didn't make it, but Greg had 15 points, and if you take away the 14 minimum, he had how many over 14? 1, and you multiply the 1 by 3 candy bars per point to get 3 candy bars.